Celebrity Court of Public Opinion is back. Tonight is Tuesday, November the 25th. Just want to let you know that the court will not be in session on Thursday, obviously, because it is Thanksgiving. But we're definitely glad to have you here tonight. Let's go to the chat to see who's joined us. JP Mills. Hey, y'all. Welcome back, JP Mills from Quebec. LVF99, welcome back. Brenda K, I would try to pronounce your last name, but you know I'll butcher it. Thank you so much. It's feeling like family now. Nisha Phillips, always glad to see that name when I sign on. Edita, good evening. Welcome back. Sandra McGee, I feel like we're sisters and brothers now. SL Warrior, great to see that name. Christine R, it wouldn't be the same without you. I'm sure Jason is turning red as we speak. Tina Twine, welcome back. Essie Stone, always good to see your name. Good Tar Diva RVA, oh my gosh, good to see you. Leandra 7140, welcome back. Donna, welcome back. Offer sings. Oh, you must be off in DC today because usually you're somewhere singing. Welcome. I'm glad you were able to make the show. Deaf God, always good to see your name. Always good. Althea Lewis, welcome. Thank you so much. Dominic Starr, thank you for joining us tonight. And Val Reese, everybody, Algorators, welcome back. All right, order in this court right now. Remember, this is the only courtroom where the culture decides the consequences. The comments are like closing arguments, and the jury is everybody watching this live stream. Tonight, though, the scandals are hot, the law is messy, and the truth is about to get what? Cross-examined by not only me, but the lawyers and you too. First up, we have Kandi Burruss files for divorce after 11 years with Todd Tucker, and the Court of Public Opinion wants to know, was this marriage real love or reality TV convenience? Leticia James, oh, I really love her, walks away, thank goodness, from criminal charges, not because she was proven innocent, but because the prosecutor wasn't legally allowed to prosecute her. What? In the state of New York? In the country of the United States? How is that possible, baby? That's not a plot, a twist. That's bad government, if you ask me. Kevin Spacey is now homeless. Really? Hopping between hotels and Airbnb after years of public disgrace. But should the culture feel sympathy, or is this just accountability finally landing? And last but not least, Tori Spelling, yep, we're still talking about this divorce. Divorce records reveal a tax bill so big the IRS probably has her on speed dial. Into the tune of $1.7 million is old. Now, that's not a tax problem. That sounds like a lifestyle audit problem. All right, but anyway, tonight, I'm not just your judge. I'm your instigator. We're going to try something different. Your interrogator, as well as your cultural truth teller. This is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and court is officially in session. Joining me tonight, I have attorney Sean Carter and Jason Weiss. Gentlemen, welcome to Celebrity Court.
Glad to be back, Your Honor.
Is Jason okay over there? You're on mute, buddy.
Thank you, Your Honor. Excited to be here. I was, just laughing in the background.
That's all right. All right, gentlemen, welcome. It's men's night tonight. And before we get started, I just want I want to announce that I will be participating in a Black Friday event with my former co-host. Yes, that's right. You heard me correctly. I'll be participating in a Black Friday event with my former co-host of Fox Soul TGIF. As you all know, it was an epic show that ended way too soon. But we've decided to partner with Butter, who happens to be a Black-owned and Black-founded luxury line, skincare line. I employ all of you to please join me at 10 a.m. Eastern this Friday on Black Friday as we kick off this particular Black Friday event. I'll continue to promote it throughout the show, but for right now, we're going to move right on along. First up, money, marriage, and the Atlanta audit. Yep, you heard me right. Kandi Burruss, reality superstar, Grammy winner, and entrepreneur of everything, has officially filed for divorce from Todd Tucker after 11 years. Now, she's saying the breakup has been brewing. Translation: The marriage was expired milk, and she just now checked the date. Now they have shared kids. They also have shared businesses, but as of late in the last decade, they have shared fame. And guess what? Now they both share a lawyer. All right, lawyers, we got to break this down. Counsel, welcome to the only courtroom where we mix the statute book with the stage book. Let's get into it. All right, I want to start with you first, Attorney Carter. Under Georgia law, this is what I need to know. Now, we know that there is a prenup, right? So I want you to talk about a prenup, what that means. But in Georgia law, over the last 11 years, they have created some marital assets. How do the courts treat marital assets when both spouses build businesses during the marriage?
Now, I could tell you that, or we could let Todd give his opinion. What do you want to do with first?
Let's see what Todd has to say.
Let's see what Todd said.
I'm going to be real with y'all. For y'all women who are bosses and have all of this money and got this extra shit.
Why are you saying it like that?
No, because I think, I understand the double standard, but I think you also need to understand the man that you're with, the man that you chose and you're allowed to choose you, that you can't be so mine. You know what I mean? You have to open up within reason. I'm not saying going by no niggas, no Bentleys and doing dumb shit, but you gotta invest in y'all and y'all future, and you gotta let your man feel like a man in those scenarios. Because with all the money that you have, you can end up by yourself. You know what I mean? Because at times that type of energy of it's mine. No, I'm just being honest as a man. I'm just giving you my honest opinion.
Okay.
As you continue to be like, it's mine, it's hard to hear someone say it's mine in a relationship that's supposed to be it's ours. Can I talk?
Ooh.
All right, so we know what Todd thinks, right? Todd's like, this is 50-50.
Right.
Unfortunately for him, he's not in California. In Georgia, they don't do 50-50. They do what's fair is fair. Okay. And as a result, what they're going to do is they're going to take a look and say, okay, you built this together, because you're right. She had some money coming in, but they've, grown it since they've been together 11 years. And they're going to look and say, okay, what's a fair percentage for you to get when you walk out the door, considering you help with the business, you watch the kids, you did hair in what looked like somebody's bedroom, whatever the stuff you did in the relationship, right? We're going to give you the benefit of the doubt and sort of help you out here. So, but I mean, I'm guessing he walks away with a couple mil, but he's not getting half.
Oh, okay. Even doesn't he get half? They have a prenup. I'm gonna throw to you right first, Jason, after I ask this question. There is a prenup, so we know what a prenup means prenuptial. So anything that she had as her net worth before she got married is hers. She does not have to share it. Kinda.
That's not always what a prenup says. A prenup is basically it divides up the assets at that time, and it could also plan for future assets. Your prenup could say, whatever I bring is mine, whatever you bring is yours, whatever we develop together, we split 50-50, 60-40, 25-75. The prenup is it's like your contract, right? It's your terms and conditions. And you can, as long as it's not illegal, you can go ahead and contract whatever you want. And what I'm saying is illegal is, like I bring my cocaine and you bring your crack. You're not allowed to have that.
Okay, so let me ask you in this case, though, because we know that they, had very big brand deals. They had a production company together. There was some royalties with the plays that they did together. They have a new play that they're going to be doing together on Broadway. What financial disclosures are required for them to get through what they built together?
They're going to have to disclose everything, right? Whatever money is coming in, they're going to first look at the prenup and see what it says. And then they're going to look at who did what and what equity is involved. Chances are it's going to be close to a 50-50 split, unless there is something in the papers, or at least one of them can say, I was doing all this while he was out, playing ball, or I was doing all this and she was out with with the girls. You know, there'll be decisive factors either way, but you know, the goal is whatever you've earned during the marriage, unless your prenup says otherwise, you're probably going to have to split 50-50.
Got it. Okay, Sean, I'm gonna throw the last question to you. Tell me, they have 2 kids together now, right?
Right.
And say that he gets custody. Because if I was him, I think I would go for custody of the kids, right? Arguing that her schedule is very hectic. She's
Okay.
got 2 businesses. She doesn't have the time, et cetera, et cetera. We know it's hard to get in the state of Georgia for women not to be granted custody. But what if he gets custody? Does he get more money?
Well, then he'll get child support. He can do a whole Kevin Federline thing. But like you said, that's rare, right? Normally mom gets custody. Even if mom's really busy, mom would really probably have to be on something. And so it's not likely. He might get share custody, right? 50-50 is probably the most he can usually hope for. But if mom's doing her job at all, I mean, mom really got to be basically like Britney Spears, you know, with a barefoot coming out of the gas station bathroom, you know, showing a hoo-ha on the on the internet. You really got to do a lot to lose full custody of the kids.
All right, Delaire Washington, thank you for joining us tonight. I see you finally joined in the chat. Jason Afra Singh says, why you got coke and they got crack? Go sit in the corner.
Hey, you know, if you do it right. That's all I got to say.
Right. So the law will split their assets accordingly, I guess, based on the law. But in the court of public opinion, the culture already split the blame. All right, everybody, drop down in the chat and tell me, what do you think? Todd better walk out with dignity because he ain't walking out with the house? Or do you think Todd deserves the house and everything else that they kind of built and moved in together? Drop down in the chat. I want to know what our viewers think. Do you think Todd should get fair share? Or do you think Kandi was the one that carried this marriage? Drop down in the chat. I want to see what everybody thinks. All right. While they're dropping in the chat, from Atlanta heartbreak to New Orleans to New York chaos, where prosecutors are indicting people without even having the legal authority to do the job. Y'all, this next one is a constitutional comedy. Yes, you heard me correctly. The prosecutor that tried to prosecute Leticia James ain't even a prosecutor. Yes, a federal judge dismissed the entire case against New York Attorney General Leticia James, not because she was found innocent, but because the prosecutor who charged her wasn't legally appointed. That's like getting arrested by a mall cop wearing a shadow.
Exactly it. That's exactly it.
What is going on? All right, let me... Attorney Carter, tell me what's going on here.
The mall cop.
What happened?
Paul Blart, the mall cop.
Oh, right. Attorney Carter, let me go to you. Explain the legal requirement then. I mean, come on. It's the Attorney General's office. It's a case that got nationwide attention. How did this happen? Explain the legal requirements for appointing a U.S. attorney, and how serious is it when those requirements aren't followed to the point where her case gets dropped?
Okay, so this is the deal. There are 93 U.S. attorneys. Normally, when a president comes in, they replace most of them or all of them with their own person. And they're usually a very qualified person. Trump doesn't believe in qualified, right? He put anybody in there, the mailman, you know, Blart, the mall cop. And so he had been trying to do this. He puts them in there. Now, he knows they're not going to get Senate confirmation. And they all got to get Senate confirmation. So he keeps them in there for 128 or 20 days. And then he tries to get someone new to come in and basically just roll over the 120-day interim like Melania does her Saks Fifth Avenue card, right? You just roll the balance over, right? You get a new person, you get a new person. And what happens is he tried that. So he had someone before who wouldn't do it. He replaced that person with Lindsay Halligan and said, hey, she's only been here like 90 days. And the court said, no. You had someone here before for 4 months that wasn't qualified. So you don't have a U.S. attorney. And here's the weird part is, though, only the cases that she brought personally, because she's not available. So the rest of the office is fine. But if she had not put her unqualified, inexperienced butt in here in the first place and had some other attorney do it, she'd be fine. So they're going to likely, I think, refile and try again with a real attorney. And they'll have to go through the whole thing. But they basically said, look, and this is a big deal. Let me tell you why this is a big deal. because this is the first time that Trump got caught in this. He's been doing this. He did that last term. He get a bunch of non-qualified people who weren't ever qualified, but just keep them on an interim basis. And what they're saying is, no, from now on, you either have to get somebody Senate confirmed, or the court itself will appoint your U.S. attorney. And no president wants that. And here's the weird thing is, I looked at it. Chauncey Billups was prosecuted in the Southern District of New York by someone who was on an interim appointment that started more than 120 days ago. In other words, Chauncey Billups, if you lawyers be watching, you guys might be able to do the same thing and argue, hey, the guy who was prosecuting me now is not allowed to be there. Go get a real lawyer.
But Attorney Carter, hold
on, Jason. I want to ask you this really quickly. How is that possible when he said they can go find another a lawyer and refile? Because I thought the case was dismissed without prejudice. And I thought on here you guys taught us that if a case is dismissed without prejudice, that means that they can never bring it back up again.
And that was the question, Your Honor. I was going to throw the softball to Attorney Carter. I was going to say, so what does that mean? The without prejudice means that they can do it again. It means you get another bite at the apple, or for golf fans, you get a mulligan. If it is with prejudice, you are done. You can never bring it again.
Never bring it up again.
And you know, it's do not pass go directly to jail.
Wow, I guess we're learning something tonight. Soup J2792. Thank you so much for the super chat. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Soup J2792 for the super chat. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. Oh my gosh, I'm learning that. Okay, without prejudice means you can bring it back. With prejudice means you can never bring it back.
With prejudice, dead in the water.
And the easy way to remember that is, think about it. Basically, when dismissed with prejudice, it means I didn't just dismiss this, but I'm prejudiced against it. I don't like it, right? And so you can't bring it again, right? Okay. Without prejudice means I haven't really made a decision about it, so go ahead and do what you do. It's just technically not allowed.
Okay, Attorney, I'm digging a little bit deeper here. I wanted to ask the question, what happens to everything, right? Because I know we talked about this before. What happens to everything the invalid prosecutor touched, like the indictments, the subpoenas, and the warrants? Are they all void now too?
So it truly depends on whose name is on it. Like Attorney Carter said, you know, when it's not normal for the U.S. attorney to sign the pleading, to have her name on it. Usually you have an assistant, an associate, a lower level person whose name is on it. So if you go there and, you know, on the signature block, if it were Carter and Weiss, and I go ahead and sign, and Carter, you know, wasn't appointed properly, it's still good. But if Carter was the one that signed and he wasn't appointed properly, then it doesn't matter that my name is on there. So there is a chance I'll have to start over again. But I mean, look, Chauncey Billups, like you just said, Attorney Carter, right? He can go ahead, he can get it dismissed without prejudice, but they're coming right back afterward. So it really doesn't matter.
Okay, now, so someone else in the chat said, JP Mills says, will they be allowed to charge Kami again?
Yeah, well, here's the thing about it. And the difference here is this, because Jason's absolutely right. With Chauncey Billups, they actually have a real case. They're going forward with that. So they'll find some other lawyer to do it. But the reason that Lindsey Halligan was appointed in the first place is that the old lawyer that Trump appointed said, hey, this case is too janky for even me. Even though I'm a Trump guy, I'm not that Trump. All right, I'm not willing to lose my license and be homeless Trump. So understand that they're going to have a hard time finding another lawyer who's willing to do that. Because they were lucky to find this lawyer. The only reason they found this lawyer is because I assume she was in between jobs. All right, but she on LinkedIn now trying to find something else. So if they find somebody else on LinkedIn, maybe they can get somebody. But for the most part, most of the real seasoned U.S. attorneys won't touch the Comey and James cases. They're too politically active. They don't really have a lot of evidence against them. But Chauncey, unfortunately, you might want to start, sizing jumpsuits.
I'm just really, this is really throwing me. This is really throwing me off. I don't understand how This is a New York Attorney General's office. I don't understand how you don't have a legal prosecutor to prosecute someone, and how, because they are messing and playing and taking advantage of the system, that they don't just throw this out completely. Why would she have to go back through, be drugged back through this all over again?
Because again, it's a technicality that they're going to go ahead and say that, that's the reason why. It's not like they found evidence to say she didn't do it, or, she's completely innocent. There was a technicality. So what they're going to do is, they're going to allow the state to fix that technicality, or the government to fix the technicality, and move forward. Look, they do that on the defense side too, right? If she happened to have an attorney that wasn't licensed in New York, or wasn't appointed, or wasn't in the right court, the court sends you a love note, and they say basically, hey, you're practicing in front of us, your dues are missing, you haven't taken your CLEs, you haven't done this, we're going to give you 30 days to get that fixed, otherwise we're going to unappoint you, and we're going to appoint a public defender or something along those lines. So the court will give you those warnings. And look, they were playing with deadlines, and they were playing with fire, and they got caught. And if it happens again,
I just feel like they're making up stories. I just feel like she's being, from a public opinion, court of public opinion, I know that you guys can see the legality of all of this, but I just find it very interesting that someone who's coming after the sitting president, who also was very successful in coming after the sitting president, is now caught up in some type of illegal pursuit because of a house that she got in Virginia worth $100,000 that she rented to a niece to go to college. That's bull crap. That's bull crap. That's just bull crap. In court of public opinion, I'm going to say it right now, we find Leticia James, our black sister, not guilty. I don't care. She's not guilty.
That's why a lot of the AGs don't want this case. That is what they're saying. A lot of people don't want this case, and they're having trouble finding people to take this one on.
That's just freaking sad to me. All right, before we move from a prosecutor who didn't have the credentials to an actor who lost everything, including his address, let me promote one more time that I am partnering with Butter Skin Line, which is a Black-owned, Black-founded luxury skin line. Bailiff, can you please put the flyer up? Skin line. It's going to be this Friday, November the 28th. I kick it off at 10 a.m. Eastern. And it's going to be on StreamYard. I'll be sure to include the link in the bio for this show, as well as on my Instagram. So if you want to join, I ask that everyone please come and support me the 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern time. And I will teach you about some butter. And let me tell you something else I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be answering any and all questions as it relates to my experience at TGIF. I'll be talking about my most fun moments. I'll be talking about my co-hosts and who I enjoyed. And I'll also be going to the chat to answer any questions that any of you may have about my experience with TGIF. Once again, Bailiff, if you could put it back up, if you could please join me this Friday for Black Friday, because we know we're buying black on this Black Friday with a Black-owned, Black-founded luxury skin line. The sale is going to start at 10 a.m. I'll be the first of the three of us that will be here promoting, and I'll be going on from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Link will be in the bio. Thank you so much. All right, now let's move from the prosecutor who didn't have the credentials to the homeless man. Yep, you heard me correctly. Kevin Spacey said he's officially homeless. Well, that's what the rags are saying that he's living in hotels and Airbnbs after selling his home to pay his legal fees tied to his sexual misconduct trials. But the culture wants to know more. Is this redemption or is this receipts? Bailiff, take it away.
I don't usually make it my business to correct the media. If I did, I wouldn't have time for much else. But in light of the recent articles claiming I am homeless, I feel the need to respond. Not to the press, but to the thousands of people who have reached out over the past few days offering me a place to stay or have just asked if I'm okay. And to all of you, let me first say that I am truly touched by your generosity, full stop. But I feel it would be disingenuous of me to allow you to believe that I am indeed homeless in the colloquial sense. In my conversation with Mick Brown, the wonderful journalist who wrote the story that was in the Telegraph where this rumor first began, I said I was basically living in hotels and Airbnbs and going where the work is, just as I did when I first started out in this business. I've been working nearly nonstop this entire year, and for that I have so much to be grateful for. And there are many people, as we all know, who are indeed actually living on the streets or in their cars or in terrible financial situations, and my heart goes out to them. But it is clear from the article itself that I am not one of them, nor was I attempting to say that I was. Which is why it was a shame that the Telegraph chose to undermine the work of their own journalist.
All right, Attorney Carter. So explain to me what's going on. But before you start, so he's basically admitting that he's not homeless. He's saying, though, however, that he is going from hotel to Airbnb. Is he saying that because defendants can claim financial hardship to avoid future civil judgment? And if so, does homelessness protect his assets?
Nope and no. The fact that you are broke will not shield you from any liability. Now, it will shield people from getting their money from you because you don't have it. All right. But, for instance, someone could sue you tomorrow for $500 million. They're not getting it. All right. But it won't stop the lawsuit. And so in his case, claiming poverty really wouldn't help. I think in that case, he's just trying to clear up. He's basically saying, yeah, I'm broke, but I'm not broke. All right. I'm not black broke. Right. I mean, I'm doing okay, but, I'm not doing as well as I used to do. And it's interesting because let's be clear. We got to remember the reason that he is not who he used to be. Remember, this was like one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. All right.
Right,
2 Oscars.
Right.
All right. A Laurence Olivier Award, all this stuff is because in 2017, Anthony Rapp, the actor, came forward and said, hey, when I was 14, he tried to hit on me. And then Spacey made it worse. What he said, look, I don't know what really happened. I was drunk and I was gay and stuff like that happens when you're drunk and gay. Wrong answer. All right. And as a result, basically everybody started coming forward. He had 20 guys in England coming forward saying, yeah, he tried to touch me too. And here's a weird thing about this. Spacey had 4 cases against him, 2 criminal, 2 civil. He won every one of the cases. All right, either they got that or they got dismissed. People died in the meantime or whatever. So he has not been adjudicated guilty of anything. But because of the public cancellation, he's running around on the road like me. I do it. He and I go to the same places. We sit there, we'll work for food. I'll joke for food. And he's out there doing baby showers and bar mitzvahs, housewarmings, just like me. I'm available, by the way, if you need me, operators. I can do a housewarming for you.
All right, Jason, let me ask you the question then. So he talked about he's constantly working. He said he's been the busiest he's ever been this year, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, he made that comment on his live. Is that a smart thing to say when you're running from and claiming you don't have money? Because with the people who are charging him and have like these outstanding cases against him, can they go against the money that he earned this year at all these different studios?
Sure, they can absolutely try that. But one of the things that the courts will take into consideration is when a judgment is against you and they go try to collect and they send you certain forms, you can file an exemption or you could file something that says that although I have been earning money and doing all of this, I no longer own a house, I have no assets, I'm working the best I can, and you can't take everything. You might be able to take 50%, 70%, but I do need to, and the courts will allow you, for him to have shelter, maybe not living at the Ritz, but living at at an Airbnb or going ahead and not driving a Lamborghini, but being able to afford Ubers to and from, that kind of stuff. So there are going to be exemptions. There are going to be allowances. And yes, if he's earning $1 million, he's not going to keep the whole million, but maybe he gets to keep 100,000. The court's going to have to look at that. And again, right now, I don't think anybody has a judgment against him. So he can continue to go ahead and earn and stockpile all this money and live. And, next thing you know, he might be in Bora Bora with, or Bimini or one of the other places with some of the other people that, have gone ahead and fled the country. It's very popular.
All right. Christine R said Al needs a moderator to get rid of the trolls. Baby, let the trolls troll. That's what they do. We are supposed to have a moderator here to get rid of the trolls, but let the trolls troll. Look, if they have that much time to come on my show, I'm over here minding my business, teaching people the law. If you got that much time to come on my show to troll, continue to troll, and I welcome you, all you trolls. In the court of public opinion, homelessness doesn't erase harm. It does erase excuses. And it also doesn't erase excuses. Going from hotel to hotel ain't a punishment to me because you have the ability to be there, and I'm sure they're 5-star. So, hey, there's no empathy coming from me on that front, especially since he's still working, and including the fact that it was minors. I say you can't mess with the kid, you can't mess with kids, you can't mess with the elderly. Nah, not a good look. All right, and finally, from Hollywood mansions to Hollywood tax problems, the IRS has entered the chat, and baby, they came with calculators and attitude. Yes, case number 4, when the IRS is the third person in your marriage. Tori Spelling and Dean Dermont's divorce filings reveals over $1.7 million in unpaid taxes. They said $1.2 million is owed to the IRS, and over $500,000 is owed to California, plus more debt sprinkled in like confetti. Whew. All right, Attorney Carter, this has been an ongoing case nonstop, like going and going and going and going. How are tax liabilities divided during a divorce when both spouses benefited from the unpaid taxes? I need somebody to answer that. Is it the person who made the money?
No, if you file a joint return, remember, you both got to sign it. And what you're saying is we owe all this money, or if this is incorrect, we both are responsible for whatever we put on this form. My wife, if you listen, I'm sorry, baby, I didn't sign you, made you sign some stuff. But the point is seriously this, is that let me take you a little teaks. I went and looked this up. Tori Spelling, as you know, is the daughter of Aaron Spelling. Now, if you are more than a fetus, you know that Aaron Spelling was responsible for every show we ever watched growing up as kids. All right, every single show, right? Fantasy Island, all the stuff. And he died in 2006 worth $500 million. And you know what he left Tori? $800,000.
What?
You left her enough to say, look, baby, go get a pretty dress for the funeral, pumpkin, but that's about it. All right. And because she had been acting a fool up until then, and she even said herself, like, she said at one point, my sport is shopping. And so he was like, you're not going to shop away my $500 million. Left all the money to mom.
Yeah. And
so now we got a daughter of a $500 million, probably worth $1 billion now. Okay. And she owed what, for her would be a measly $2 million. And mama's like, hey, you ain't gonna spend up all my money. All right. I got I'm on Social Security. And so they're going to let her tough this out. And both her and her husband are responsible for this debt. And even if they were to put in their divorce settlement, oh, no, it's all his debt. The IRS don't care what you agreed to. All right. They're like, hey, my name is Ben and I ain't in it. We're going to get our $2 million, our $1.5 million, and y'all can figure out how we're going to get it, but we're going to get it from both of you if we need to.
This particular story just blows my mind because, they were Hollywood royalty. She was Hollywood royalty. She was on all the major shows. So, Jason, what tools do the IRS have to collect debt this large? Is it wage garnishment? Do they seize their assets? Do they do federal liens? Like, how do they get their money if they don't have any?
All of the above, right? If they have property, they can force them to sell it. If they have vehicles, they can force it to sell it. You'll get a love note from the IRS sent to the address, and it'll say that we are coming in and we're levying your property. They will literally show up with an officer, knock on the door, and they will start taking everything of value. The TVs, the shoes, the purses, the whatever it is, they will take it all. They will either go ahead and sell it, or they'll give an appraised value for it. They will give credit for it, and that's it. It's done. The IRS, they do it. It's called a levy. And if you don't pay your taxes, and they go ahead and they send you a note. They're saying, we're coming to levy within 7 business days.
All right, let me ask you this really quickly. Either lawyer can answer this. Can they file for bankruptcy to escape the tax debt?
Absolutely not.
What?
Absolutely not. The IRS is one of the only people that you cannot file bankruptcy and get rid of. There's some question whether or not you could do it for student loans, but chances are these days you still cannot. Those are the two. Bankruptcy? Nope. Student loans? Nope. Maybe and the state assessment from the state of California, same thing. That's not going to get wiped out either.
All right, last question, Attorney Carter. We know that Tori still does a lot of like book signings and stuff like that, and personal appearances, and maybe on television. Is the IRS, can they go after future earnings?
Absolutely. I don't think you remember the boxer Joe Louis, but he got in tax trouble 30, 40, 50 years ago, and they would come to his fights, and while they were handing out his money, they'd be like, we're gonna take that. Yep. And they would literally take the money out of your hand as you're getting it. So yeah, you could be out there doing yards, and they'd be right out there in the yard with you, like, okay, well, go ahead and trim this up. I'm gonna go take that money. When the IRS decides to get their money, they're like Santa Claus. All right, they know when you're sleeping, and they know when you wake, and they know if you owe me money, and we're gonna take it. It's ours to take, and they are serious. And the bad thing is, for celebrities in this regard, is that they really don't. They want celebrities to pay their taxes, not because they don't mind anonymous rich people not paying their taxes. That's fine, but they don't want celebrities to give the rest of us the idea that you don't have to pay your taxes. That's why Wesley Snipes had to spend some time in jail. If he was a corporate executive, nobody would have cared. But you can't be a blade and then not paying your taxes, because then the rest of us will get an idea that we're not supposed to pay our taxes. And so they're really serious about celebrities.
And PJ said her books are at the dollar store. I can't with you algorithms.
And the other thing is this: the IRS can say to, let's say, the promoter or whatever it is, that that any money that she is supposed to be getting needs to come to us. And if they don't do that, guess what? They can go after the person that wrote the check and the company that wrote the check to say, you paid her $500,000. She shouldn't have gotten it. We told you shouldn't have gotten it. So guess what? You now owe us the $500,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with that,
hold on, guys. All right. Well, the IRS doesn't care about love, drama, or reruns. They care about the money and how they're going to get it. Let's move to that part of the show where we go to the verdict. And I need the people to jump down in the chat, because you, the people, are the jury. All right, jury, the culture is calling you. Drop your verdicts in the chat. First up, Kandi and Todd. Who do we believe? Kandi's doing what's best. A, drop down in the chat. Is Kandi doing what's best? B, Todd is fumbling the bag. Or C, both are guilty of staying too long. Algorithms, drop down in the chat. We don't know what you think. Attorney Carter, what say you?
All I know is Kandi should have listened to Mama Joyce. She told her from the beginning that Ty was trifling. And she was like, remember that show? She was like, but Mama, I'm happy. You happy now, Kandi? Because I know who's happy. Your lawyers are happy. They're happy. The accountants are happy. Pretty much everybody's happy but you. All
right, Attorney Weiss.
I agree with everything that Attorney Carter said. So I think they're both.
Attorney Weiss, you don't even know what we're talking about.
Oh, I know exactly what he's talking about. And they are both guilty.
All right, I agree with you, Attorney Weiss. I'm actually with Attorney Weiss on this. We're going to find them both guilty of staying too long. I guess they were trying to figure it out. And plus, they had a whole lot of business interests. Next up, we have Letitia James. Letitia James, is this a legal technicality, a government incompetence, or political sabotage? Algorithms, jump down in the chat. Is it A, a legal technicality, B, a government incompetence, or C, political sabotage? Attorney Weiss, what say you?
This is incompetence through and through.
All right, Attorney Carter.
It is incompetence. Absolutely. It's also kind of interesting that only these two lawyers figured out Trump got a bunch of mall cops out there. All right. And the fact that only these two lawyers figured out that, wait a minute, why are we getting arrested from somebody who got their badge right from the Halloween store? And so I think a lot of this is going to be a big deal for going forward because everybody's going to be questioning these U.S. attorneys.
All right, I'm a judge, and I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. We're going to find them guilty. The government is guilty of incompetence, and the administration is guilty of political sabotage. Right here, found guilty. Right here, next up, Kevin Spacey. Does he deserve A, compassion, B, consequences, or C, cultural cancellation for messing with those minors, allegedly? Attorney Carter, what say you?
He deserves ultra premium Airbnb status. Because he's going to be on the road, all right, doing those baby showers and bar mitzvahs and bris. He's going to be doing all that stuff until he learns that he's not been contrite. You know, even in the statement there, we saw, he was kind of like, look, I'm still balling up here. And it's like, no, brother, you've got to come forward. And I don't know what you did with the underage kids, but I do know this. There are 20 people who came forward and basically said when they were on a play with you, you were trying to hit on everybody, which means at the very least you were using your power, all right, to try to get your freak on, and you at least got to come clean on that, all right, and basically be contrite, and then maybe you can come back.
Okay,
I agree with everything Attorney Carter said, except if he's volunteering to do a bris, just say no, Mom and Dad. Just say no.
All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and we're going to find Kevin Spacey guilty. He needs to face the consequences, and he needs cultural cancellation. It's just not right. Don't mess with the babies. I'm sorry. In public opinion, that's my opinion. Algorithm, drop down in the chat and tell me yours. Tori Spelling, last case. Is she A, tax victim, B, tax villain, or C, just bad at math? Attorney Weiss, what say you?
I'm going to say D. She's just a hot mess. Minus the hot part. She's just a mess.
Attorney Carter?
She is bad at being daddy's princess. All right. When your daddy dies with $500 million and doesn't leave you a scrap, you were doing it wrong. I don't know about you. I don't even have any princes. I have all princes, and I give them all my money now. That's why I don't have any myself. All right. The fact that your daddy didn't leave you nothing, and you weren't even a good daughter to your mama because you think your mama would have left you something. All right. And so now you got to wait for her to die, start trying to feed her, all kind of sugar and stuff. You really should have been a better daughter. By the way, can we put up that last picture, Bailiff?
We're running out of time.
If you want to know where the $1 million of the tax money went, I'm going to guess Krispy Kreme.
She ate it. All right, you're so bad. I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here. It's Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. We're going to find her guilty of having rich white women problems. Okay. That's what she's guilty of. Algorithm, jump down in the chat. Your comments on the verdict, drop down in the chat and tell us what you think. Last but not least, before we go tonight, with 60 seconds left, Bailiff, can you please put up that last? Thank you so much, everyone. Please join me this Friday at 10 a.m. for the Butter Black Friday event. This is a by Black, Black-owned, Black-founded luxury skin line. And as I said, I'll be answering all things TGIF. So be sure to join me 10 a.m. The link will be in the bio on my Instagram as well as on YouTube. All right, tonight showed us that in the court of public opinion, the law matters, but the people matter more. Celebrities can hire lawyers and they can hire publicists, but they can't outrun the truth, especially when the public decides the verdict. I'm Al Reynolds. Court is adjourned. Thank you for joining us tonight.